Hello, my name is Dean Whiteway. Today I'm coming to you from Savannah, Georgia. Today's question for our class is, did Christianity have any effect on the Revolutionary War or even the formation of our Constitution? Thomas Kidd, in his book, America's Spiritual Founding Fathers, refers, of course, to George Whitfield. And so I have selected George Whitfield for two reasons. One is that Whitfield's preaching absolutely affected the colonists, and I will give some more information on that. But secondly, Whitfield founded an orphanage in 1740. As a matter of fact, the reason for his frequent visits to the colonies, some 13 in total, was to raise money for his beloved Bethesda. And I teach American government here at Bethesda, and the enrollment is much the same as it was 100 years ago, and that was just over 100 students, and they're all boys from grade 7 through 12, and about 80% are black students. Bethesda has survived fire, wind, the Loyalists, and the Civil War. Now back to the question of the effect that Christianity has had on the Revolution and our Constitution. Gary Kowalski, in his book Revolutionary Spirit, talks about the power of Whitfield's messages. As a matter of fact, he gives a very interesting account, an actual quote from Ben Franklin, and how he was impacted when he attended one of the meetings on the Boston Commons. And I'm going to read what Ben Franklin said. And I'm quoting, "I had in my pocket a handful of copper money, 3 or 4 silver dollars, and 5 pistoles in gold. As he," meaning Whitfield, "proceeded, I began to soften and concluded to give the coppers. Another stroke of his oratory made me ashamed of that and determined me to give the silver. And as he finished so admirably that I emptied my pocket wholly into the collector's dish, gold and all." Now, it isn't just the power of preaching that affected the colonials, but it's the power of the Holy Spirit that convicts people to not just to give shekels or gold or copper pennies, but to change their behavior. As a matter of fact, the influence of George Whitfield, he gave 18,000 sermons to 30 million people. The largest one that was documented in the colonies was the 30,000 in Boston, the cradle of the Revolution. As a matter of fact, if you measure it from Market Street to the courthouse, it is over 400 feet. And yet you could hear Whitfield with great clarity as he proclaimed the gospel. And can there be any question that Christianity had an influence, or that George Whitfield had an influence? None at all. For the very words that began the road to an independent country was itself a declaration of who God is. When the Constitution, when it was written, all men are created equal and are endowed with their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if the question arises, did Christianity have any impact on the colonies and the Constitution and the Revolutionary War? Do you think?